Hi, this is Mike Bauer, pastor of Disciple Together Church, and I'm continuing the series on why I believe Jesus rose from the dead. This is part 4, and the question that we're going to be looking at today as one of the possible explanations for the story about Jesus rising from the dead would be that, well, the witnesses lied. Those who said that they saw him firsthand were actually lying about it and were trying to benefit from the story in some way. And so let's take a look at that. Now, last time we talked about possible explanations 1 and 2 that miracles can't happen, and I think we got to leave that door open because we're not God, or I'm not God, so I leave that door open. And then second of all, that the story changed over time, and last time I showed how the gospel writers were writing, within 20, 30 years of Christ, and then the 1 Corinthians 15, 3 through 8 passage, which is a traditional saying, creedal saying, comes very close, 3 to 8 years to the time of Christ. So the story, when we look through over time in those early time periods, don't see evidence that it has changed. It's still matching up. So now the third question is, the witnesses lied. Isn't it possible that they just lied about this and it was to get some fame, some glory, money, power, sex, those kind of things? Is that what it was? Well, let's take a look. Well, first of all, why I think this is important is that they said that they personally saw Jesus. They weren't just secondhand witnesses. Okay, so they would know if they were lying or not because they said they personally saw him. So this isn't like someone who has a belief that they think that something is true even though they haven't seen it. But they're saying they actually saw. So this makes it powerful as to showing whether they were really telling the truth or not. And because they said they saw him personally, they would have known they were lying. They suffered tremendously through persecution. And many of the apostles lost their lives because of that. And that's I think, a really important point. Take a look here at what Luke says in Acts chapter 5. He says, and when they had called in the apostles, they beat them and charged them not to speak in the name of Jesus, and let them go. Then they left the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer dishonor for the name. And every day in the temple, from house to house, they did not cease teaching and preaching that Christ is Jesus. And so they're suffering. They are being whipped and beaten and flogged, and they are experiencing, great trials through all this. So the question is, okay, if this is really made up, why would they go through with it? Why not say, oh, wait a second, we were just joking, or this was made up, or we're all in on this together? Especially when you deal with larger numbers like the 12 apostles, you would think a few of them would break and would tell the truth, but we don't have any evidence historically to see that was the case. And so I think that's a really good reason that I can't believe that they lied. And then the last one is that their story, I don't see it being motivated by greed, lust, or power. Because where were they getting rich? Where were they experiencing, the sexual licentiousness? That says in 1 Corinthians that they each had a wife, except for Paul. But I don't see evidence of that, and I don't see evidence that they were getting power out of this. They weren't able to use force on anyone else. So it doesn't seem to be motivated by that. And especially look at the Apostle Paul. The Apostle Paul, who had the power, he was, the Pharisee of Pharisees. He had a lot of the recognition and the clout early in that day. And then when he saw Christ, he turned around and started preaching Christ to be raised from the dead. He says this. He says in his letter to the Corinthians, second letter, he says, 5 times I received at the hands of the Jews the 40 lashes less one. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. A night and day I was adrift at sea, on frequent journeys, in danger from rivers, danger from robbers, danger from my own people, danger from Gentiles, danger in the city, danger in the wilderness, danger at sea, danger from false brothers, and toil and hardship through many a sleepless night, and hunger and thirst, often without food, and cold and exposure. How do we explain this, that he's willing to go through all this Well, it's because he believed that he saw the risen Christ. And we're going to look at some other explanations of how he maybe could have misinterpreted that, or how they could have misinterpreted. But so far, I think we can't believe or would say that it's true that the witnesses lied, that they made this up. And so that's something that I think there'll be something to think about. And that's where I've come on this. And next time we're going to talk about, well, did Jesus just pass out? Maybe he just sort of swooned and he didn't really actually die on the cross. So look forward to talking with you next time, and have a great day.